This is
Up
for Grabs, a podcast where three unfiltered friends talk about anything and everything. And now, here are your hosts, Tracy, Kim, and Rachel.
Welcome to Up for Grabs. I'm Rachel. I'm here with my friends Kim.
Hello.
Hi. And Tracy.
Hi.
Hello. Good to see you today. Today on Up for Grabs, we are going to be discussing something that maybe people think is taboo to talk about because we're controversial like that.
Sex.
Farts. No, we talk about that.
We do.
For some reason, we talk about that every episode. Neither of those guesses were right. We're going to talk about death and specifically your final arrangements. What my mom called your death wish. And I said, yes, mother. She's like, literally, it's your death wish. I'm like, I love that.
Yeah.
So we are going to discuss our death wishes, other things we've seen as we've through our lives, how other people have said goodbye with their services.
Yep.
What we like, what we don't like, and everything in between. So first of all, I'll start it off with, I really want this, I think this podcast is probably going to change the world's view on just taking the stigma away of talking about
Death and dying.
death and dying.
Okay.
It's unavoidable.
It's the only thing we know is going to happen.
Correct.
So why wouldn't we plan for it the way we would want to when we can? So that's really the impetus of us being here talking about our death wishes. Tracy, why don't you give me a little background? I'm assuming we all have a very similar view growing up of the process after someone dies, since we all grew up in Catholic families.
Right. Like the traditional.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where you would
Walk us through.
traditionally, I mean, once a person dies, the funeral home comes and gets the person, takes them away. Within about 3 days, I think everything is planned as far as a day of showing, maybe 2, depending on the person, how many friends. And then the next day at 11 or 1 or whatever is the funeral mass. And then there is a traditional burial in a graveyard. And then sometimes not as much as like some other churches where people would get together and eat a funeral meal. I think it started more in the Catholics after that. I don't know if it's different ethnicities, let's say, because we were big. We had big wakes for our families. I don't know if you guys did. Where, as a kid, not that I was excited when someone died.
What's your definition of a wake? I guess I don't even know.
Like at the funeral home.
Ours was at the house.
Oh.
So,
okay.
There's the funeral home, the viewing, and then at the house afterwards, there's food, drinks, merriment. Like I can remember my dad and his brothers and sisters sitting at the table, telling stories, laughing, crying. And so many of the family stories were shared during those times, because it would say, do you remember when she did this? Or do you remember, my mom and dad, they called their mom mommy. And so like, do you remember when mommy chased you, down the street or whatever? And they're all laughing. And I was, 10 years old, running in the garage to get beers for people. That was like my job. It was like go home a little bit early from the funeral home to help get the food ready.
Yep.
And there was a couple days of that, and all the cousins came in from out of town. It was kind of like a wedding, where you just had all the people there.
Definitely.
And it was just a prolonged memory celebration.
So a wake really is, I didn't know to call it a wake, because what you described is exactly what I would want. Like we were telling each other, think about what you would want. That's exactly what I would want after I pass, for people to get together, not at a fancy place or anything, just be together, drink some drinks, tell stories. I think that's what all of them are pretty much about, but it just kind of depends on when you do them and
the setting.
The setting and all of that.
Yeah.
And part of this came up because we were talking about, last time we were here, I was letting your mother know that someone that we both knew had passed away, one of her
Right.
friends and a relative of my sister. So I was letting her know that. And I said, we'll talk about the arrangements. Once they come out, I'll let you know or whatever. And we kind of started talking about it. And I said, is it okay if I start in on mine?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I said, for me personally, I want it to happen before I die. And actually, a little bit before I'm like really sick. Assuming that I die from a sickness and not a sudden onset. If that happens, then all bets are off. But if it's something that I know it's coming, yeah.
Would we call that an awake?
Awake.
Get it?
Yeah.
Awake.
I get it.
You're one of the few people that I've never heard anyone say out loud that they wanted to throw a party before they died and actually be there for the merriment, which is a great idea.
Yeah. I mean, I want to hear the stories. I want to hear what people, and I have a good idea, but I can't say it because I haven't trademarked it yet. But
Oh my God.
but I want to hear what people remember me.
Yeah.
What is your memory of me? What is something that you would tell someone else about me? I want to be there for that. I brought up the idea of possibly doing a roast, but I after thinking about it, because I have some very sarcastic friends that are funny, but I think my sisters just can't handle that, so we better not do that. They get mad.
No, you changed your mind on that because I told you I knew exactly what story I would tell, and
Okay,
you're like,
whatever.
oh my God, you're not telling that story.
I think that might have happened, or
Okay.
you made it up. So anyway, and I just want it to be food, music. I want a dance floor.
Yep.
Wear what you want. You don't have to dress in black. If you want to wear a sequence halter, Kim, I want
me.
you to. I want you
Are
to
you
wear.
gonna have like a tube top themed funeral?
I might.
Because I'm in. That's great.
I'm not ruling it out. I'm saying if that's how you want to come to me as your last thing, then I want it. I want you to.
I really think if we're going off, and of course these are everyone's wishes. This is their own personal wishes. Not everybody's is the same. What you might think is awful, someone else will think is exactly what needs to be done. So that's one thing that I like about it, is personalizing it, because it's celebrating the person that you were. But I'm telling you, Tracy, if you have any sort of like pre-awake and your theme isn't somehow glittery, rhinestoney,
Of course.
just big jewelry and long ball gowns, I'm going to be upset.
Okay. Again, do it. I want you to.
Just
But
show up with-
Also, I want people who want to show up in jeans and a Marlboro t-shirt to do that as well.
In their pajamas, because I might wear my pajamas. If I don't wear a ball gown, I'm definitely wearing my pajamas.
Are you the kind of girl that went to school in the pajamas, the Cookie Monster? I think that's what the kids call them.
No,
Those
I didn't
girls
do
that go
that.
with Cookie Monster pajamas.
You see those in Walmart.
Yes. And part of it is, and I'm going to go to another thing and then we'll go back to everybody's ideas.
Okay.
But I did look up some of the prices of things, and that was part of the reason that I was thinking about it, because the average funeral costs between $7,500 and $10,000 is what they said. I know for our family, sometimes that's been a little bit more than that. And I find that insane. In Indiana, $8,700 is the average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're just going to be cremated, that's about $2,000, maybe $3,000, but between $2,000 and $3,000.
Who can afford to die?
I know. Well, and the other ways you're just spending so much more, and for what? Like I was saying that, people come and they talk in a what do you call it, a funeral home, and because I want it like in a party room, I don't want
Right.
it in a funeral home. But what are you paying for there? Other than fancy
renting the space,
golden drapes, like especially if the person is cremated and you're not seeing the body. But you're paying a whole lot of money. And then some people even buy burial plots for their ashes. Those are thousands of dollars. And to me, I just think, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. And I don't understand it.
Well, that's also part of what's been going on. Just kind of, we're a less traditional society. Before, everyone bought a plot, and if you didn't have a plot when you were young, then what were you what were you even doing?
If you firmly go by the Catholic Church's teachings, you don't keep the ashes; those have to be buried.
Right.
So
yes, it's dictating.
Again,
tradition
traditionally
dictates a lot.
I didn't even know Catholics would allow you to be cremated
as long as it's buried.
Okay, that's the rule. Okay.
Well, don't tell anybody.
Well,
I might be breaking rules.
I know.
Yeah, me too.
And I, there are others that I break, and that's okay. And I was thinking about other traditions, so I was looking, and in the Jewish tradition, they like for them to be in the ground within 24 hours.
Wow.
That's a quick turnaround, in my opinion. But again, if you already own the plot, then it doesn't take as much. If you're planning ahead because you know that's if you're going to follow tradition and you know it, then you would probably plan ahead. So I found that interesting.
I think that the cost, once I heard how much it cost, and I really honestly thought, well, who can afford that? Because
it's sinful.
It's kind of because usually people are caught off guard by the expense. That was one thing when I was talking to my mom. She's like, well, I don't want, I want to be able to leave money to cover those expenses, because the last thing I want is for people to try to figure out how to do this.
Yeah, my parents have already done everything.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
I think it's a respect. Some people are like, oh, that's so morbid, or oh, why would you plan?
Yeah, they've just in the past couple of years, but
it's one of those things that it's really a selfless thing to do in terms of respecting the people that are grieving, because when you're grieving, you feel you're kind of in a fog, and maybe you don't remember what the person even likes or did or would want, and just to know that you're doing what they wanted to do. Yeah. Without having to second guess yourself, I think that puts a lot of peace of mind.
I think so too.
And I think that's why I think this death wish thing should really catch on.
Kim, what do you want?
Well, I thought a lot about this today. I don't really like death or even thinking about it.
Well, nobody.
But I try.
I don't mind.
I've been trying as I've gotten older, and especially in the last few years, of kind of immersing myself in different things that, like whether it's listening to a podcast or reading a book or something that just kind of wraps my head around the idea of death and different people's perspective of death and stories of afterlife, stories of. I do have to plug, and I just came across it within the last month. There is a podcast out there called Death Talks, and it's done by I don't even know how old he is. I would say he's in he was 12 when his dad died in 9/11. So
I can't do math, but yeah.
Yeah. So what has it been? 26 years. So he started a podcast in the last couple of years called Death Talks, and he does a lot of talks about people that have had near-death experiences. He did a bunch recently about people that survived 9/11. He's had people on there that have, talked about how their loved one, I don't know, the whole thing. It's been very therapeutic for me to listen to it and to kind of wrap my head around it. I wouldn't want something for me while I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, and maybe I would be in a different headspace if I knew I was dying. I don't know if I could handle that or want to handle it. I don't know if I could I don't know. To me, that seems too hard.
So to you, that doesn't seem as joyous as it seems to Tracy.
But I can understand.
No, but it sounds good to me too.
But I do believe I would be willing to go to do something that for my friend or a family member if that's what they wanted. Personally, I feel like, well, if I died and they want to celebrate me, I'll be able to check that out from the other side. I mean, that's just kind of how I look at it.
Right.
I'm very, like, we grew up Catholic. So traditionally you had like a 7-hour showing. That night you would go back to somebody's house, and then the next day you'd have the funeral, and then you'd have a mercy meal. I mean, it was an event, and it was a lot. I personally want 2 hours before at the church, have my funeral, and have a mercy meal and be done.
Well, and that's one thing
All in one day.
All in one day.
Yeah. And that's one thing
I made that very clear to my husband.
Good. Because that was one thing that kind of evolved from, I mean, Tracy, you were talking about, when we were little, there were protocols you went through and things like that. But when my dad died, so this is like 2010, we did that where the showing was 2 hours before at the back in the narthex of church, and which then went right in and did the funeral. Mm-hmm. And he was going to be cremated, so we didn't have to go to the gravesite. We went downstairs and had the mercy meal, and it was done. And I thought, why didn't this exist? Why weren't people doing this a long time ago?
I know.
Because for the family, the 2-day event is exhausting and overwhelming. And I don't know. I just thought, if that was something that could have been done, who was gatekeeping that? Like, who?
But see, like for me, I loved the 2 days. I didn't want them to end.
That's where so Joe is from a big Italian family, and I've been with him for 37 years. That is pretty much expected. And to him, he wants that too. I mean, he thinks, yeah, the people that have lost the loved ones, that's hard, but there are plenty of people that want to pay their respects, that want to,
sure,
and we've gotten bickered about it. Like, okay, but that's horrible for the family, but not always, because sometimes that's very comforting. Like, it's, you know what I mean? It's comforting.
It's not easy to lose someone, but maybe being
surrounded by love.
Yeah, makes it easier. I am freakishly okay with death and talking about it. I don't know where that comes from, other than
I think
losing people.
Well, yeah,
yeah. I mean, it's just very because remember I was talking about I was maybe wanting to be a death doula.
Yeah,
most of them are nurses, I think. So I think I lack that qualification, but not all of them. But just being with someone when they die, like, I would be comfortable with that, where some people are just not at all.
You need to do that, because there's plenty of hospice places.
And you don't have to be a nurse to do it. I mean, I've read of people doing it. I know that there's certification and there's different things, but I don't think necessarily being around it bothers me as much as, and I've said this before, and this is a really dumb, we did a podcast, what's embarrassing to you that, whether I die tomorrow or in 20 years, I've lived a good life, but I'm not somebody that's going to require 7 hours of a showing. There'll be a lot of empty space. I just don't feel that way. And that really kind of bothers me. And I don't want it to be a production. I don't want it to be something where I hope I live till I'm 100, and then most of the people that I loved are gone.
That's a great idea.
I mean, that it's not so sad when you know that you've had a good full life.
Right. Yeah, and it depends on your perspective about that too. And that's why I like it. That's why I think everyone needs to write it down, because there's not a wrong answer to this.
No, absolutely.
But some people, because they don't talk about it, don't know the answer that their loved one has. And then if they pass away before you have the discussion, or write it down and know where it is, that's when a lot of stress can come about. Like, am I doing the right thing? Is this what, Kim would have wanted? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I want to pose this question too, because I was thinking about this. I hate graveyards, or cemeteries, or I hate them. I lost a child, a baby, 14 years ago. I've maybe been 5 times. To me, and this sounds very morbid, when I go to a graveyard, I think, ooh, there's decomposing body in there. Somebody that I loved. No. My mom and dad have their plots in a mausoleum, and it makes me she's like, oh, do you want to see where Dad and I are going to be? No, I don't want to see where, because I probably won't ever visit. Like, to meet, now my husband, weekly.
Can't get enough of it. Yeah.
Goes and visits his dad, and that is comfort to him. And there's no judgment. I just do not, I believe that they go to heaven. I believe that they're there. That's where their soul is. And I want no part of
the earthly part of it. Yeah. How do you feel about grave sites, Tracy?
I'm fine with them. Like, I've been to my parents. I was there probably in the past 2 months, but I can go. I've also gone years without going.
Yeah, I wondered, like, are you one that will go, like Joe's family? They there is a flower thing for birthday, for anniversary.
Yeah, Angie takes care of all the flowers on my parents.
I mean,
for everything.
For everything.
Yeah. She used to keep them in her trunk and then
I think
just
that's
rotate
a beautiful
them out.
thing. Something that I'm not comfortable with.
Yeah. No. I go and just to, I know they're there, that the physical part of them are there, but it doesn't, I don't feel one way or another.
Do you, and I'm just going to be really blunt. Do you go because you feel like that's the way to honor them? Or that would make them proud of me that I was there sitting there,
No, sometimes I go, hoping to feel a little more connection because maybe I'm feeling kind of disconnected.
Yeah.
Like I said like a month ago and said, Alex finished her class. I went to tell them, that she had finished. And so.
Yeah. Maybe that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
Well, I
want to feel something so bad
won't.
and I won't.
Well, and that's a good way of protecting yourself from not having to find out.
Yeah.
Because if that's not for you.
Yeah.
Then why put yourself through that?
Yeah.
Because you've obviously made those connections everywhere in the world. I mean, you told that story about Rome. I'm like, so you're feeling your connections everywhere, not just specifically at the gravesite. And my parents, and when Tracy came over last time and was talking to my mom about their mutual friend that passed, my mom brought up, and I didn't even know this is why you should talk about it. She's like, oh yeah, your father and I have paid for a burial site that we're not using.
So your dad's not there right now?
No.
Your mom's had to say, okay. Huh?
We haven't quite gotten around.
And that's perfectly okay.
I haven't gotten around to putting him in the ground, and we're not going to. But I said, wait a minute. So when she was like probably my age, they did what people that age did and purchased their burial. I'm like, well, wait a minute. So you've already paid for that? She goes, oh yeah. And they did the gravestone and they spelled my name wrong. And she goes, and then they tried to make it seem like it was my fault. So that's funny. But but I said, well, wait a minute. Then we need. And then Tracy was like, you know how much those cost? She's like, you could sell that and then throw a party soon. She's like,
sell it half price, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Well, that's what she said. She's like, yeah, I need to get around to calling them about that.
I said, yeah, just call it.
And
that's
sell
not
it.
property.
But that's what she said. There's like, we're running, people are always
People are dying to get in.
That's what she said. Okay. So my mom told Lillian when she was little that at her funeral, she wanted Lillian to tell that joke that Gigi was just dying to get in here. And she was like, Lillian was like, she's like, people would think I was the worst granddaughter in the whole world. I'm like, no, they'd know you were her granddaughter.
Oldie but goodie. And one of the things that I found on the internet was that we are running out of space.
I believe it.
To bury bodies.
Yeah. How much space is there?
Yeah. Because of like the baby boomers, they're getting older.
Well, they start like stacking them like they did when the famine or, plagues.
That stacking is a possibility. They said they would do away with the decorative things in the cemeteries, but that's not enough. Arlington National Cemetery is about to be full.
Wow.
So then what do you do?
I mean, it makes sense.
And they're thinking about changing the requirements to get in.
Yeah.
That's going to hurt some people.
They were just dying to get in there, and now they can't.
Now they can't. Or, do you have like an auxiliary national, what I mean? Like, we're
running out of space.
We're running out of space. And then you think about these metal, I don't even know what the metal they use, titanium or whatever, these caskets.
Yeah.
That are thousands of dollars that
so nothing can leak or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, really?
Or put them in a, and then the poor people or whatever are put in pine boxes. That's probably better. You can decompose
quite
at least and
honestly,
be part of the earth. Thank you.
Well, I did do a little research, and I guess that's one of the things, a new traditional thing that's coming up, being environmentally thoughtful and being like biodegradable, whatever that you put in the ground, your ashes in a biodegradable thing that
I think
just
it's
returns
in like a package and
I
box.
never understood it's almost like the huge monuments, or the gold plated caskets. To me, I don't know. I don't want to be disrespectful.
No, but because some people think that is the greatest way to show
to honor someone. And it's just, but it can bankrupt
and everyone
you.
dressing in black, and everyone being quiet, and everyone being solemn. That is, so for some people, that is honoring and respectfully worshiping that person. Yeah, or not worshiping, but like their life. I
was thinking on the way over here. Because I thought, well, then I'm not going to be like heavy the whole time because I already have been. But to be comical, and this is true, like if I'm going to be cremated, then I want to kind of make it like my top 5 places that I want a little sprinkle somewhere. Yeah. Like,
Do they all have to go together? Like, are you going to make them take 5 trips to sprinkle?
I'm just saying a sprinkle, like, please go sprinkle
a sprinkle
my
a
ashes
year
in the fry oil at McDonald's. I mean, because,
Okay. How are you going to get away with that?
I don't know. But just listen.
All right, go ahead. McDonald's fry oil. I didn't see that
McDonald's
coming.
fry oil, yes. The Long's Bakery in their dough. I really was thinking about things.
I didn't know it's
a very special donut.
I didn't others, but go ahead.
A sprinkle in the ocean. I do love the ocean.
See, I thought all of yours would go to the ocean.
Well, yeah, most of it would go to the ocean, but just my true loves in my life,
right?
Like my donuts and my McDonald's, well, Diet Coke, the carbonation system probably would clog that, but like
that's 4. What else?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Target, somewhere in Target.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Somewhere in Target.
Target with a Long John and from Long's Bakeries.
Yes. I was going to sprinkle it in some of Target's vases so people buy them. They don't even know they're getting a little bit of Kim.
A little bit. There's a little bit of Kim.
My memory will live on.
Well, and then I said for my kids, I just want it to be, put me, and you can get rid of part of me. I don't care. You don't have to take all of me because you could probably get busted, but part of me into water somewhere.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
That's important.
But my idea is that I love water, being around it, but I feel like then I could be evaporated and come down somewhere else. Yes. Like I can be wherever they are.
Yes, because
of the water connection. So that's what I would.
And another thing
like for it to happen.
They said was along with a biodegradable whatever was that you can do that. I'm sure it costs money and it was through a company, but it was like you could do something where you could plant a tree and then plant your ashes help.
Yes. Fertilize
a tree to make it. And then that tree is like your tree. And I thought, well, that's a very earthy, let's give back sort of thought to the end of life.
There's also a hydro cremation, and I don't understand how it works. But I know some people are afraid of fire, and they have said that even in death,
well, I'm afraid of water, so I'm out of that.
Fire.
I mean, the thought of it,
some sort of hydro. I don't understand.
You get turned into ashes through water. Being blasted with water?
I don't know if you're blasted. I don't know what happens, but
it doesn't sound soothing.
I didn't
fire
make it.
drowning.
I know. Well, you pick one.
My mom and dad, the mausoleum. My grandparents, my mom's mom and dad are buried in a mausoleum, and I always thought that was just very peculiar. Like why? But my mom has this overwhelming, like you're dead and gone. I can't imagine being buried in the ground. I can't imagine worms and dirt and this and that. And I, in my head, I'm like, you're gone.
You're not there.
But that really was something because it's more to be in a mausoleum. Yeah. So it's like that was something that was.
Well, then she needs to write that down on her death wish.
It is. They've got
as long as they have their death wish
space.
Okay.
But it's strange, interesting.
Well, and I like the way that people's minds have opened up because back in our day, the only way to put any sort of personalization to your services was what songs you sang at mass, maybe what verse you put on the back of the funeral card.
Yeah. And you had a choice of like 3 of the front of the card.
and like maybe where your donations went. Like, here,
Yeah.
give us money because in your name we'll,
Yeah.
you know, whatever you liked. That was like the only way you could make
That's
it.
another thing that made me think. All the flowers that are sent.
I know.
So much money, and give it to charity in my name.
I
Give
know.
it to charity in my name. And when you said picking what songs,
Yes.
I think part of the reason, in hindsight, that I feel so comfortable is that Sister Angela back at St. Michael's back in the day, the neighborhood kids, when someone died, a parishioner during the school during the school year, they would pull some kids to go be the choir for the funeral.
Right.
But during the summer, it was the neighborhood kids.
Oh.
And we got called, and we didn't have caller ID back then.
Oh no! So
And
the
then
answer
once
stuck.
you heard the name, you're like, dang it was Sister Angela. We've got a funeral at 10:30. And we'd just go in our shorts or whatever and run up the stairs, to
Yeah.
the back and sing the songs that they told us to sing. And then, the incense, you were like,
Yeah.
choking.
So did you ever serve? Were girls allowed? Like,
No,
we
no,
did.
no.
We did, and nothing was weirder in grade school with another server and a priest in a limousine. Like with the maybe like those like.
Were
I
you a
don't-
server?
Yes,
They let you be you're
Yeah.
only like 2 years younger than us.
St. Barnabas. I mean,
They
I
were
think it
progressive.
depended. I
St.
think it
Barnabas was
depended.
they were a
lot
little
on
bit
the
hippie.
pastor,
Yeah,
and
they
we
were a
had a
little bit
very.
hippie.
I think now at the time, I bet you he was liberal.
Yeah.
I really do. But no, women.
How about that?
Girls? Yes.
Yeah. They started it, I think, like my maybe 7th or 8th grade year, and I didn't do
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
That didn't get around to the north side when I was there. It might not. They might have had it and then forbade it all within
Depends on
this.
the priest. It
Yeah.
really
Listen
truly
to
does.
these numbers. In 1900, less than 1% of people got cremated.
Yeah.
And now, 56% of people get
really
cremated.
that many?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm down with it.
I
am
think
too.
everyone realizes that, that there's nowhere to go. I mean, there's, you don't have a spot.
and in a religious sense, I mean, and I'm just thinking about practicality sense and whatever, but in a religious sense too, I thought about it just from like the Catholic perspective. Isn't it that they tell us that we are dust and dust we shall return? Isn't that what we do every Ash Wednesday?
Yeah, and I
so
think-
why is there a big taboo about?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I think there was much. My brother's a priest, so I've asked him about the whole. That's how. I mean, I'm not sitting here telling people they have to follow the rules because I
Right.
don't think God really cares what you do. Your body, your soul goes to heaven.
Sure.
If that's what you believe. But the whole ashes, yes, you can get cremated. Yes. When we lost Isabel, my biggest thing, what I really this bothered me. I want her with me.
Right.
I want, and even the funeral, the cemetery. Well, you can buy plots, and our heads weren't wrapped around that. And I went to my brother, and I was just like, I want to hold on, and he didn't say no, you're going to go to hell if you don't do that, but he gave me the biblical reason and the church's thinking, and Calvary Cemetery has a beautiful little garden for babies,
Yeah.
and so I was okay with it,
Right.
But as I don't know. I respect anybody's wishes that if they want to keep that,
Yeah.
to me, there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, and you're bringing up a really good point. Here's also what I thought. I thought if I think of this the way I plan my wedding, okay?
Yeah.
If I had to plan my wedding today, it would be completely different than it was 28 years ago.
Yes.
So that's why I feel like this death wish document, which is what I'll call it, needs to be updated because what I'm saying right now, kids, are you listening? It might not be true anymore. As I age, I might feel differently
Oh, yeah.
about what I think is appropriate and what I want to have done.
Yes.
Yeah, there
And
were
I
so
may
many
change
parts
my-
of
yeah.
weddings that, like the flowers, so much
who
wasted
cares?
money that I didn't care about.
So many
but people were like,
things.
you have this checklist, go down your checklist.
Don't forget to register for your china. I mean, like,
Yeah.
yes, so
What a
many.
so much wasted. That wasn't even my personality, but there was a list, and you
It
went
was
down
tradition.
the list. Tradition. Sorry, for
Yeah,
that.
Such a very, very good point
So-
that you just made about it. Plan it like you'd plan your wedding. I mean, yeah,
Because-
a big event in your life.
Yes, and update it as your tastes change because they will.
I wouldn't want to have a awakening, whatever.
Which I think we just
if
have another business
but
on our
if I
hands.
was if I was dying,
Yeah.
and I felt I may change my mind, so don't. you know,
Right.
and it'll
Don't
just
count you out.
Don't
Never
count
say
me
never.
out. Never
Worst
say
case
never.
scenario, we get some little Caesar's pizza and come over to your house and hang out.
Some crazy bread? I'm down.
That I'm not opposed to.
Well, I hope. Do you guys have anything else? I had written down a lot of stuff about. One thing I did want to bring up is, what is your take on obituaries?
Okay, so
They're humble brags, is what they are.
they should be humble brags.
Okay.
If ever there were a humble brag, now is the time.
Let's hear it, Tracy. Differing. This is going to be a differing of opinion, but go
Okay.
ahead.
Especially like some people never get their flowers. They never get their acknowledgments.
True.
And
True.
you know, I like I say, I want it when I'm here. I want you to tell me, give me my flowers when I'm here. But for some people who are going to wait, give them theirs. If they did things that were good and they never got credit because they were shy or humble, or maybe sometimes people just don't get credit when they should, give them their credit.
Yeah, I agree.
But I will tell you that recently, I'll say a friend had written an obituary and then found out from the mortuary that the number of words, it was going to be like $1,000 more to add these extra words.
I mean, was it going to be a book?
No, it was an extra paragraph. Like,
Wow.
they charge by the word, and it's a lot. So sometimes when you see a really small one, it's because the family's like,
I did not know that.
we are not paying an extra
I just felt like that
$1,000.
went into the $10,000 that you paid for.
Well, sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't.
Wow.
And you get maybe the 10,000, you get a little bit,
You get 500 words as
and
opposed
then you might get some more.
Yeah. Wow.
So that.
Well,
is
one thing that I
stupid.
learned when I was talking to my mom about this is she's like, because she was talking about how she felt like she may have overlooked a few things in the passing of a few different people. And I'm like, Mom, it was fine. You know, and I'm like, well, what about the obituary? And she said, well, you know, when you go to the mortuary, I didn't even realize they're the ones that ask you a bunch of questions on the spot to put together the obituary. She's like, I didn't know dates or what was going on. She's like, I was just really unprepared for that. And I go, well, what do you want in your obituary? And she's like, well, I don't want any of that. And I go, wait a minute. You don't want like where you went to, you know, high school, college.
Just like fun facts.
Where you taught, like you taught for over 30 years. You don't want to list the schools that you taught at. She's like, oh, no, I don't want to do that. I go, well, those are like the key words for people that would be looking, that would want to maybe honor you, but didn't know you died, when they'd say, hey, honey, didn't you go to Mount Carmel when Mrs. Byers was there? Like, if you don't put Mount Carmel in there, maybe people won't realize that they knew you. I'm like, you're taking away the opportunity for people to figure out that you died.
Right.
And she goes, well, you know what, if they didn't know, it's just too bad. And so I'm like, so what do you want in your obituary? Because this got
Sue Byers, born dead.
and very cheap, very cheap. I said, well, if you don't want me to, because she's like, oh, that's, you know, I hate long ones. I hate, you know, it seems kind of braggy. I don't know. I don't want any of that kind of information. I go, well, what information do you want? Because that kind of takes away most of the information. She goes, I'm like, I'm born, dead, family arrangements. She goes, yeah, but you might want to put, you know, something else in there. I'm like what? And she's like, do something artsy or a poem or something. I'm like, you want me to write a poem for your obituary?
She needs to write her own.
And that's what I said.
I don't think that's a bad idea.
I said,
either.
what do you think about people that write their own? And she's like, well, I've seen it done well, and I've seen it. Like, I've seen other ones that are just really braggy and like too much like so much information that no one cares.
Like the Christmas letter. The yearly
It's your Christmas letter, but in the Indianapolis Star.
Yeah.
So she got real specific, and suddenly there needs to be a poem written about her.
Aw.
Okay.
Or she said, I would really love just a stream of conscious words and things and people that I like. And if you don't understand it when you're reading, you didn't know me anyway, so you don't need to go to my party. I'm like, oh my gosh. So yeah, this is why we have the conversation. I would
is
never
so
have known
true.
that.
Yeah.
As far as I didn't even really think about the obituary part. My husband's an avid obituary reader.
Oh, my mom loves them.
I mean, loves reading them. He's two of his best friends, they like on a loop, when they see a funny middle nickname or what,
Oh, yeah.
or just something fun. But yeah, I mean,
Kinda
like you said, I know some of them are really braggadocious, but you know what? That was somebody's life. And the loved ones want people to know
that they were great.
They were great. And these are the things that they did that made them great. And I think sometimes, like I saw today, people that are local here will understand Mrs. Angermeyer's mom died.
Oh.
And I thought, Mrs. Angermeyer, isn't she like 100? Like I had her as a teacher at St. Barbara's, her mom was 95. But I was like, when you read those things and you see, you do go like, oh, she was my teacher, or that was my teacher's mom, or what? I don't know. Those kind of things are neat.
So, and maybe mom will change her mind. That's why we need to get this down. Maybe in a few years, she'll want everyone to know exactly her entire resume.
Every year on your birthday, you look over your death wish and you see.
Yes.
Does it need an update?
Update your resume.
And then
yes.
you just
I'm still here.
initial by the year.
I'm still here. Let me.
Still good.
That's still your wish.
I think that's an excellent idea. Okay. I just wanted to get everyone's take on the obit, because I know some other things that you can do now, and I want to get your thoughts on this real quick. I guess it is possible now with the technology we have for you to leave some sort of video message to people. Would you do that? Oh my God, now we're hologramming.
No, I would not. No, I would not leave a video message. No.
Tracy? No.
Okay, so I will say no to like an overall video message.
What about personal ones?
What if you read books for your grandkids to have?
Oh, I know. Like things
something like that.
No, something like that. I think yes,
That's pretty cool.
If you had the time to do that, when you were
time,
able,
whatever,
to,
whatever you had needed.
Well, here's what's going to make us look wonderful. Because I told my mom, I said, this podcast is something that I think of as a gift to family and friends. The gift of our voices. You know what I mean? Like, I forget people's voices, what I wouldn't give to have access.
You mean this podcast, like in general, not this episode?
Oh yeah, not this episode.
No, it's
part of our death wish that our children can let their kids.
Yeah, that's what I tell people, because when people find out that I'm on a podcast.
After they're done laughing, what do they do?
Yeah, because believe it or not, I'm shy. But up here, it's like, no, I don't know. It's like, it's just us and nobody else can hear us or whatever. I don't know. But my kids, what I wouldn't do to have an audio or video, audio, whatever, of my mom with her friends
laughing,
sitting around talking about whatever.
Yeah.
Or my dad, either one. It wouldn't even matter what they were talking about.
Correct.
And on here, it doesn't matter what we're talking about.
It doesn't.
We have talked about important things and things that will matter to our kids, but we've also talked a whole lot of nonsense.
Which is really what I'm about. It's my core.
It is to your core. And our kids will have that, to...
Whether they want it or not.
Yeah. What did mom think on farts? Well, here it is.
Mom wasn't a fart person, but boy, that Tracy was. She just couldn't get enough of that. That's what she said. What? I think that is, I think this podcast is a before I'm gone love letter to anybody that would ever want to hear my voice again.
Yeah.
Our voices, our laughter. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So I think everyone needs to start a podcast. Is what I'm saying. That is what I'm. Actually, I think everybody already has. So I don't think that's a problem. Thank you so much for joining us today on Up for Grabs as we discuss our death wishes in the most positive light. If you have any other unique ways of appreciating someone after they are gone, we would love to hear it. And if you want to be invited to Tracy's Awake, please send your we're collecting emails right now, and you'll be notified when that party happens. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again on Up for Grabs.